Hope you're all doing well. It's just a little late night mess around here. Didn't really have much planned. I had a little think of what I could do and half an hour slipped away like nothing. Didn't really get anything achieved whatsoever. But what I thought about doing here was changing back to using the retrocoder background as our screen, pretending that's a background to a screen. Obviously I'm going to make a game soon and we'll make a tiled background. It could work completely differently because you could come up with an algorithm, but I quite like the way this is set up. We can now use GIMP as a level editor basically and just create tiles that way. We might even be able to come up with some way of already automatically giving them some other values here, but I don't know, maybe not. But even if it's a case of just manually going in here and adding a few values, it's not that hard. But right now, yeah, we'll get rid of BG balls. We'll have a quick look at it just to remind ourselves what we achieved earlier. It's looking great, it's looking superb. I did consider where is it? That bit on the right hand side over there of the screen. I did consider making a UI now, but I think we need like a plainer background for our game screen before we put a UI in there with like a fancy border and all that. But that's going to come very soon. Anyway, that's what we're doing. We're filling our game area up, but I'm going to change BG balls, uncomment BG retro, comment out balls, and now we've got, whoopsie, it seems we've got an error in that file. Well, it worked earlier, didn't it? Oops, not a new file. Why is there a comma there? I don't know where that appeared from. There we go. I'm going to change this and it's going to look very strange. But I'm going to put every single colour cell a random colour and a random ink colour. In fact, we'll leave the ink colour. We'll make that something bright and then and then we'll randomize the ink can be any colour other than that. So I could do with my constants file that I made before, because it tells me the colour binaries. There we go. I'll just leave that there. It's not hurting anyone. I'm just thinking about what's the easiest one to mask. Maybe pink. So I want to work out where that line is really, where retrocoder begins. Looks like the second segment, the middle segment. The middle segment is exactly 1/3 in. So that would make it convenient if it is, because I can work it out from there. Colour memory begins at 5B, I think. I'll have to look it up again. $5800. We're not using these constants. Let's just create a new file. It saves having big files. Call it attribute manager. Why not? .asm. Right, and just call it like paint random. Paint cells random. So there's more than one way of doing this. When I started out on my videos, I found a way and showed everyone a way to not load B as an iterator. But this does seem to be pretty quick. But it involves us making a constant to tell us how big the screen memory is, which is not necessarily going to matter, not going to kill us. Attribute memory length. Okay, I'll get my calculator out. So it's 768 decimal OX 300. So we could do a similar thing like that. So we need my random function as well. Might as well just open a file with it already in. Can't remember one, add one in. That doesn't know it. Get random. That'll do. Oops. Just gonna call it tools.asm. Dump random stuff in here. Like that. Why does it include blue? There we go. Alright, so can't forget to do that. Just rolling a cigarette, just finishing rolling it. So we've got get a random function. I just want to put a random byte, but I want to be able to mask it. So cool, get random. So that makes a random number, and 0 0. I don't want the flash bit or the bright to ever be set. Well, maybe I should. In fact, yeah. Sort of look up and or as well, make sure I use them correctly. Yeah, so as I thought, and is a great way to make sure something isn't 1. Because you can just put 0 0, but I'll probably have to do an or afterwards to make sure something is 1. For now, let's say we don't want the flash or the bright to be active. The next one was paper. I've shut that stupid constants down. There we go. So if I had just masked out the top bit, it could never be white. That would be no good. There's a way to do this really, so that we can have the ink won't matter one bit, because we're only going to do the segments at the top and bottom that don't even have ink. Well, I guess they might be all ink. That'll be a problem. Well, we can just switch it around. Well, stop it being white just by putting that. That would stop it being a lot of colours. Let's allow it to be any colour on the ink for now. but only on the paper. So only any colour on the paper, but we'll have just pink for the ink. And I know that's going to mess up. But we'll sort it out later. So any colour for the paper, but the ink I'll mask out the top bit. So in other words, it cannot be white, cannot be cyan, cannot be green. But I want to make it pink, so I'm going to have to use an oil. Quickly look it up, make sure I use, it might be X or. Oh yeah, so or. So in fact, I could now force the flashing bit on. No, I don't want the whole screen flashing. But maybe the bright. No, we don't want to force that on either every time. Just leave it off for now. So basically, if either of the A, this or this are 1, so I can leave them at 1 there, wouldn't matter whether it's 0 or 1. But then I want to make sure. Oh yeah. There we go. I just want to make sure the first two bits are 1 for definite. So that's our desired attribute byte now sorted for that one particular cell. I'm just thinking the best way of iterating through. We call it just one time at the start of the program. Oh, it's not. It's called paint cells random. It's going to want DJNZ paint cells. It's the easiest way, really. It's different to how we did it before. They both equally work. This relies on you loading B with what do I call it? That. I mean, if we say that HL is going to contain a pointer to our screen memory, our attribute memory, we can just do that. And then we can increment HL once. So this is actually going to do the whole screen. But the ink is always going to be one colour. See how this comes out. Problem is, the bit around the edge might be ink or might be paper, I don't know. I've got a horrible feeling it's ink, because it's all black. So I know it is ink actually, so hang on. Let's just swap that around. I think this will work now. All I've done is swap that from the ink to the paper. load HL with pointer to attribute memory start. We haven't even got. Keyboard's horrible. There we go. I think that might just work. I'm about to have forgotten something. For a start return. Oh, I created the random and I didn't put the seed cache. Okay. There's no colour though. It's very odd. Is that where the memory starts? Colour memory? Just double check. I think I already checked it. But 5800 hex to 5AFF. Perfect. What the hell have I forgotten to do? I doubt that makes any difference. Oh, I didn't move A with it and it changed the colour of the background. But no, it didn't. What the flip? Just out of interest, I'm going to try it in the main loop. Nothing. I wonder why that is then. It just should be straightforward. B. Got no idea. It's just not. It's not making any effect, is it? I really thought that would work. I can't imagine why it doesn't. Just wonder though. Do that. Do we get one colour at the top? Yeah, we do. Well, ain't that strange? What the hell? I mean, just out of weird interest, I'm going to try DE instead. And that has made a difference. Isn't that odd? I've only done the one segment. It's worked though. Ink is always pink. Background is any random colour. Why is it only going that far? That's the whole one. That's the entire colour memory. Odd. It was weird because I did say I was only going to do one segment, but that is the entire memory. What the flip? And why the heck doesn't HL work? It's odd. That is really odd. It's just on one segment. I mean, what happens if I just do times 3? That's definitely not right. Doesn't even make any difference. How weird. How about if I just do 2304? That's what that is. Exact same. It really should work. I know that's got nothing to do with it. Now we'll just get any random colour, including flash and everything. So I know that's working correctly. That doesn't make any sense. It's got nothing to do with our double buffering, this colour. Oh, I bet it's to do with the frame rate. Well, it shouldn't be because it's doing it just once. So I don't think it is. No difference at all, and it for some reason introduces some glitch in there. I try 3 just out of interest. Exactly the same. Right, the glitching was always there. But still, what the flipping heck? The only thing I can think of. Oh, yeah, we're calling get random. It must somehow mess with B. That's all I can think of. Nope. That was why HL didn't work. What the heck? Right, so I'll wait till here to do that. Well, at least it works with HL now. Can't get my head around that. Just step forward in the memory. There's nothing different. You could count that there's not 768 there. 1, 2, 3, 8 rows. And as we know, 32, 8 times 32. Interestingly, we're seeing 256 of them. And it's stopping. B is too big to hold that number. That last two numbers to go too big to go into B. That's what it is. Don't know if that would work. So we have to come up with another way anyway. So that should do the same thing, but just by decreasing BC. Make A 0. Check that C is 0. I think that'll work. Can only try it and see. This is how you find out this sort of thing. Hasn't done anything. That's very interesting. What the hell? I mean, if I get rid of that, it should just keep going up now, shouldn't it? Too far into the memory. Crash. And it does. So why the hell? Makes no sense whatsoever. So if E equals 0, we return. So when it reaches 256, for some reason E gets to 0. But you can't compare DE with A. DE is 16-bit. Try and think of a way around this. Okay, try that. Weird. It starts from 768. Yeah, DE. We decrease it by 1. So why is there only 256? Getting drawn. That's my question to everyone. Well, my other way was better then, wasn't it? My original way that I didn't learn from a book, I just made up. UB, I mean upper bite. That's where it ends. How did I check it? It's okay. So if it's at the end of the... I think that might just work, you know. If it does, we can get rid of that. That'd be pretty nice. Yeah, let's try that. It's worked. So my way is the best way. I mean, the colours, that it doesn't look great, it's just a cheaty little effect. What I'd next try and do is filter out the pinks as an option for all the other blocks, for the background paper. So let's try and do that. So pink is 0, 1, 1. It's the ink. We want to make sure it isn't 0, 1, 1. Nice one, Moz. How you doing, man? Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Just a little short one because I couldn't think of anything like useful to add to this session, so just thought I'd try and get the colours randomly going through. Just trying to think how to mask out that, really. If we can mask out the pink on the ink, pink ink, 0, 1, 1. So we'll make sure it is not 0, 1, 1 then, but by not limiting down all the colours. Well, if I make sure that's a 1, then it can never be pink. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's a shame I've limited it down to one, not many colours. Perhaps I need to somehow make it so that the there we go. If I do that and then that should make it so flash can be active. Or in fact, bright I'll do. Oh, I didn't show you. Yeah, I just changed. I put the 1 there. See if that works. Oh, that's perfect. Except for the fact that we've got the bright and the non-bright in the UI section. It looks almost like an army. If you ignore the pink viewport on the right, because we can overlay that. Not that I'm ever going to use this for a game or anything. It's quite a cool effect. Might be a good little channel background thing, mightn't it? I'll take a screenshot of that. Yeah, I can. Nice. So yeah, you've come along, Moz, when I was just kind of winding up. Unless I can think of some neat little tricks to do. Yeah, just relax. I want to watch a bit of Star Trek. I'm watching them in series, like I said, so I was binge watching them at one point where I was doing about 3 episodes a day. Yeah, no, I'm not going right away anyway. But, yeah, now I'm down to just one every now and then, you know. But you can't watch too many of them. They're long episodes and they're like pretty daft, some of the storyline. But they're fun. The funny thing is, I watched so many of them, my mind's a blank. Like I couldn't even remember like any of the actual plots on them really. Definitely gonna have one more smoke before I go back offline. I wonder what I can do real briefly with that. I don't know. I thought that was pretty neat how we've started with something very, very basic in terms of the image, the source image. And then we've just created that effect and it looks pretty cool if you ask me. And all that's done in code, really. I wonder if there's a way of improving it by changing one of these bits. There's not really. Yeah, I can't think of a way. Because I'd love to be able to allow more colours in, but without coming up with like some sort of comparer thing. Because I only really want to set that to 1 only when these two are 1s. That's the problem I'm having now. If I could figure out a way around that. I need a little if statement like, if they are 1, then this needs to be 1. But I'm making them 1 just in case. While I'm thinking, I'm going to load that back on screen because I want a thumbnail of it. It never lets me have a thumbnail of a good thing. It's always just basic code. I'd love to put that as the thumbnail. That's not a glitch, that line going along the side, the top of Coda. That's where the arcade font is actually like scanlined effect. Just picked up that. I really like that. There is a way of changing it if we change the colours completely. Wait there. I'll keep them because I do like them. Don't want to mess around and have to think about it to get them back. Oh, I'm covering it up. I copied and pasted that. I'm going to try and make the reverse of it true. So let's try that one just to be weird. Let's try that a sec. Whoa. I'll change the ink colour, then it might look good. Quite would help if I went like that, wouldn't it? Why is the ink white now? What the hell? Yeah, it really was. But that was like an impossible one. I mean, the first one looked pretty good, I thought, with the pink writing. I can change the ink. I could leave that as it is. Right there. And so they're gonna always be ones. Yeah, because I don't want that. Let's try just making it black ink then. That's gonna rule out black paper. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the ore here. What am I doing? God, when I done that, it was so logical. I figured it straight out. But now I'm really brain ached. I think the ore is almost pointless there. It's just making sure that the flash isn't on. It's all black. Oh, of course, because that's the a little bit wrong way round. Just a few colours for some reason there. Weird. That's weird. I think that actually. Yeah, that was it. It was just confusing me that it was all zero. So obviously you could just pee about with it. And it's just a random thing anyway, you know, it's like completely. I don't know why it entertains me. Of course, I could do this as well and move that into the main loop. Way we have liftoff. How epic that is. No one can say it's not epic. I'd love to know how much memory this program's taken up as well, you know. It's probably quite a lot actually, to be fair, with all my child background in there. Leave that on. I wonder if I just left. It is pretty cool, isn't it? I was just going to say, imagine if I left this on just for fun for hours. Imagine how many views I'd get. I reckon I'd get loads of views, but obviously it'd be for like 20 seconds each one, and then they'd be gone. I do actually focus on trying to make good content. I would never do that really intentionally, just leaving it on as bait. Yeah, 6 hour loop. Like go live on YouTube every morning with the same thing, just repeating. I mean, it's like how many? It is repeating, isn't it? Or is it actually random at this stage? That looks like it's repeating, doesn't it? Over a very short loop. I'm actually happy with that though. We've moved on a lot. If you look at like what 2 weeks ago's videos, yeah, that's what I mean. People will be thinking this looks cool. I can't wait to see what this is about. It feels bad, but it kind of does feel like a good idea. People might follow it as well just for the fun of it. Some people, but nah, it might actually hurt my channel. People might unfollow, but I am pretty proud of it because even that pink line down the screen is pretty epic for me. Like how I've sectioned that off. That's something I've tried to do in the past and failed on different software, different target machine. I mean, the color memory. Anyone could do that. That would be one of the first things I'd teach to someone now if I think about it, like how to do them colors. It's like a great little introduction to loops, the memory address. Rather than jumping into pixels, it's probably better to learn that. It's actually a really good idea, man. I'll tell you what, if my channel went really stale and I couldn't think of any content and I was getting no views, I might just try something like that, you know, as a last ditch attempt. But at the moment, I've had a good week. I've had quite a few new follows. this week alone. So I think I'll just, like you say, just keep it up. Let me count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 6. 6 in the last 3 days. Just trying to think of any other little trick I could put in there, but not really. I mean, there would be a pretty simple way to add, like, say, black bars at the top and bottom. Thanks, man. I hope to. I mean, it was nice and easy to start with because I was able to just show the very basic stuff. But obviously now you can't just keep showing the basics unless I go to another system and do that. But I really want to at least get a game out of this. So the next stuff coming up is the collisions, the scrolling of the background. The background's going to be larger than the screen, so we'll be able to. I'll just make it so we can literally move like 20 tiles to the right. You know, it's not going to be a big map. It's just going to be, like I say, a few tiles over. But it'll scroll. It won't be a flip screen like I think the arcade game designer is. I've gone off the game designer for streams because I don't want to learn that scripting language right now. But I do like that. You know, I think it's a great piece of software. I actually normally go lower and lower on level languages over how I learn. You know, it gets annoying when you learn a really, really high level scripting language. It's pointless almost. Repeat the background. Yeah, well, show it off just as a video on its own. I mean, like, it's a catchy one, isn't it? It's the sort of thing that would catch like people's eyes on Reddit and think, "Whoa, that looks mad." I should put a GIF of that. That'd be awesome. I think there might be a way of getting it to do a GIF from the emulator. But yeah, what can I add now? I guess we could try scrolling it up and down right now, couldn't we? Like, whilst this background's flashing like this, have it scrolling slightly up and down. Because the way we've set up our our video buffer, we can, as long as we leave enough space between our buffer and the start of the program, we can mess around with it, really. Move it around. I thought about doing this earlier when I was thinking about coming back with a serious session. What we'd actually have to do though is start it from say 400 or even 100 further on. That would allow a buffer to the left and the top, and then obviously have an equal sized buffer at the other side as well. So I've got ideas of how to do it. But I decided with that I do want to do it just on my own, because like this morning when I'd done the buffer window on my own, I got it all working pretty well, and then I was able to just type it out again and show everyone. I guess the only thing I could do real quick for a quick effect is change back from retrocoder to balls. Oh, it doesn't look that great. It looks kind of cool though. That details how they've used ink and paper differently, you know what I mean there. sometimes the ink is the dominant source and sometimes the paper. And I guess that's true for almost any background. Be nice to get some other images in there. The balls. You know what? It's only been going an hour. It's not that late. I might try and get another PNG in here. Let me load up ZX Paintbrush and then I'll move it across on the stream. Just wondering what sort of images we could do. I have no clue why this is jumped into my head, but he did. No, it's got to be like an old school picture of him. Monochrome, that looks quite good. See if we can get that in there. I'll resize it in GIMP. It's 24 by 24. Oh, tiles. Yes, you're correct. Sorry, 12 by 12. Looks good. Why has it gone crushed like that? That doesn't look right. I forgot to shrink it. That's probably why you said 192 by 192. There we go. That's roughly what it should look like, but you know it ain't going to look like that when it gets into that spectrum, but that's the beauty of it. I'm well interested just to see how this comes out. I've tried to put it up to 100% quality, just in case that helps. I put it monochrome, why is it blue? That looks cool, doesn't it? I wonder why it goes blue there and not white. In mono, it shouldn't be able to do that in mono because that's got no color attributes. Anyway, let's go for that. Looks cool. I mean, I'd love to find a way where I didn't have to edit it. That's one of my next tasks. But there's no way really, unless you do the calculation on the processor, because this ain't gonna output the bytes and the Y like we want it to. I'll go back to that window now. God, I've got moths flying all over me. God. Oh, go away. Right. So I copied it, I think, to the thing. Yeah, I will have to. Right. But we can do the main bulk of it with this copy paste trick. I'm just funny about these comments. It just helps me organise it for me with my head. So all we've got to worry about is the X. For some reason it all stays in there with this information. I don't know how it stays in my head. Oh, what am I doing? So loads of repetition today, but loads of nice results. And the repetition was easy and not brain power required. And I was thinking about doing a screen that was bigger than the screen. We can already cope with it if it just goes to if we start at the top left of our map. So if we imagine our map could only move right and no other direction, a bit like Super Mario, but not even up and down. We could already cope with that with this code here pretty easily. And that's probably where I'll go with this. And then eventually we'll have to just abandon this and rewrite it all over again, but slightly improved. Or we might be able to just adapt it. Because you only have to move over a bit in the memory and stuff like that to make some room on the left to move up, and the same to move up and down. And actually we could already move down with this one as well. But we can't really cope with going up and left yet. I mean, obviously we could go left after we've gone right. When I work in more modern game engines, everything's centered. You make sure the origin of everything is centered. And it used to blow my mind and it used to do my head in at first. But then, because when I very first started out, everything was at the top left or the bottom left. But eventually I realised centered is way better, as long as you can make everything like that. It's only a little offset. You offset it by the width by half the width and half the height, don't you? That's what you have to do. to make something centered. So maybe we could do that actually. Maybe we could I could maybe come up with a way of doing centering the origins on this. That would be amazing because we wouldn't have to worry what direction we head in. We could just add memory to be bigger. And then move the point to the middle of the memory to start. Something like that anyway. Oh god. I haven't thought it through, I'm just thinking it off the top of my head that maybe. I think this is the last one. Yep. So that's gonna be good to go. Hello, multicolored Keith. Oh no. Oh, of course. See, sometimes it is more convenient to have a separate constants file like that, so that you don't have to keep doing this, what I'm doing now. But then when you do that, you've just got, the constants, yeah. But when you have them all in their own in a file separately, it is convenient, but sometimes it gets confusing because you might have like 10 different classes or files, and one file in constants relates to all 10 of them. You've got to figure out. But as long as you comment it well, I find it's the best way to do it. That's just the way I've ended up doing it. But now I've just suddenly deviated back to putting it all in here, just to try it out, really. I think it's going to work now. There he is. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And obviously this is just me after several cigarettes and all day just tapping on my computer, just messing around, and then I suddenly just come up with this live. It's not like I've planned this. I think it looks pretty cool. It demonstrates we're getting there. We can display graphics. That background is constantly getting painted. I could have a player running all around that. I wouldn't have to delete the player every time. The background would just get repainted immediately as soon as he moves away from it. Yeah, it does look good. I've got to pick out, or maybe draw my own artwork, something nice looking. It would be really, what I really want to do now, or next, or soon, is have attribute bytes here. I did do it, didn't I, with that beach scene. But what I want to do is have ZX Paintbrush export those bytes for me, so that then we can draw and color it in that app. Because you can drag in like a PNG full color, and it will do its best to like match it to the Spectrum's capabilities. So you could draw it in GIMP with the board with the grid on, because GIMP is a bit easier to draw. Or you could just import other people's work. I totally love it, man. I think I'll go back to retro though. Now, just a little tiny trick that you may well know already, but if you don't, like, let's say this was some sort of Arkanoid game, just for argument's sake, and each one of them was a background. But as we've seen, we can't call them all BG. We'd have to have one file, or you don't necessarily have to have one file, but you can't declare all them multiple times either. So you're better off just having one file with all the backgrounds. Then you'd have Prodigy background retro, and when you get to your main here, I've specified just BG. You'd have to specify level 1 Prodigy. Yeah, let's say Prodigy was level 1. When you get to level 2, there's obviously more ways of doing it, but what I would have is I'd have main Prodigy, and then I'd have another tiny little main one here. It would just be figuring out which level we're on, and that's it, you know. And then it would call. It would either call or jump to that, whichever works out best at the time. That would say jump main, so that would loop, just waiting. Then if something is something or other, call main Prodigy. And then of course that would say return instead of jump main. And that's how I implemented like multiple levels when I made the game. And it was very versatile doing that, believe it or not. You can really jump around wherever you want. You can call it as a as a sort of function instead if you want. It could be in a different file. I made one file for each main loop for each level, and then I had a main menu main. Then you chose your keys. You press 1 for a certain type of key set, and then you press 2 for another option, and then it would send you off in whichever main you chose. Yeah, it works so well. Because doing that in some game languages, like in Java, I used to try and write main menus. It was a flipping pain in the ass. I'm gonna have one more smoke. Tell you what, I found a nice bit of Spectrum music again. Just quietly, I'm gonna put that on. Put our little retro coder TV. It looks like, almost like a CRT going wrong. Where is it? It's a little outro instead of an intro for a change. Then after that, I'll say my goodbyes. It's epic. Where did I put that though? I think it's good anyway. I downloaded it just now, so I must have liked it. Hope it's not too loud. Oh, it's this. I'll probably get a copyright now. I forgot it was this. Let's hear it out anyway. Apparently it's made on Spectrum Next. I didn't realise the Spectrum Next can just do full voice samples. Sounds pretty powerful. Right, that's enough of that though. Yeah, I didn't think it was that. I thought it was like proper Spectrum music. 9-channel sound. See, I don't know all that much about sound engineering, but how do you get like a proper sounding voice like that? Like that sounded almost like a studio mic, didn't it? Does that like just use lots of channels, or does that just use one channel? I don't know. But probably all of it, almost all of them, I guess. I mean, they did manage speech on the old systems, didn't they? So it can't have been impossible. It's pretty cool. It wouldn't sound like you were playing Spectrum if you saw someone playing a Spectrum game with this music on. Or a Commodore or anything. It sounds like an actual CD, yeah. Yeah, I remember you saying that, Moz. I was going to say it can't have sounded like that voice. That sounds like perfect. Probably better than my mic. Yeah. He might not have been able to do it without you though, man. Oh, it ended. That's we started. Yeah, he sounds like one clever dude. Do you still keep in touch with Greg, or do you just not even know what he's up to? I remember you both went to different colleges and all that. More like a Dalek with we. Still, I'd be well pleased with that. So was that voice sampler then, not a voice synthesizer? Because I think when I read you saying it last time, I assumed it was a voice synthesizer. You know, where it like could make words just without so anyone speaking into it. You know, because I used to have them on my Amiga. I used to have one of them. I remember. No way, yeah. So is he still in the gaming or the computer industry? That's brilliant, man. Oh, I see. So you could did did you have to record it via a microphone onto a cassette, or could you just speak into the? Was it the same difference? Bloody hell, yeah. I don't know anything about sound really. That's why I struggle to set my mic up so much. I think. Oh yeah, I think I remember you saying about that. Bloody hell, that's big money, isn't it? Yeah, that's fantastic. That. So you could just have a cassette of Madonna or whatever and put her in your game. But she sounds like a Dalek. No, I don't have any musical ability. I mean, I can. I used to mix like rave music when I was a youngster, you know, and I was actually pretty good at that. I used to get it sweet mixes, whereas you know some people do struggle. But to me, that's just so easy lining up beats. It's nothing to do with like when I got into that SID, I got that SID tracker, and there's all this stuff like um, arb- arbiturator or whatever they call it. I forget what they call it now, but something like an arpeggiator or something. And it's very important, like you know, in that it affects the sounds a lot. And there's a few other things that affect the sound. But if you know what they're going to do in advance, I just tweak them and think, oh, that sounds good, you know. But obviously on the Commodore, you've got to type in numbers. You can't just tweak a dial. But I did kind of like working on that native Commodore SID tracker. I thought it worked really well. if you knew what numbers to type in to make the sound good, you could be away making music within minutes. But yeah, I much prefer focusing on graphics and game logic and stuff. Much. Sound is like an additional annoyance. I normally download open source sounds instead. Or in fact, if I'm going to be completely straight, I get torrents with copyrighted stuff, sample packs and that. I never made any money out of it, but just for my own learning purposes, that's what I do. I'm mesmerised by that screen. Completely mesmerised. There's so many things I want to add to that game engine style thing there, like scrolling and that. But then I also do get the odd viewer asking me when we're actually going to make a game. So I do want to try and make some basic game with collision detection and the score and stuff too. Because I know I can do it. I'm not putting it off because I don't think I can do it, but I'm sure we'll run into a lot of problems along the way. But I know I could do it. I was more interested in getting these graphics nailed. I feel like I have got it nailed pretty much now. But I still don't know why that was only counting down to 256 when we were doing that loop earlier. I've seen that bipolar tracks. Yeah, I saw that on that game engine. You can import them, can't you? I'll certainly look into that as well. You can probably just export it as an ASM file, can't you? Well, I am struggling with that as well. The ideas you say. I'm thinking I really want to make him shoot, like where we had the problem with that. I didn't see why we had the problem, but I'm sure if I took my time and coded that from scratch again, that wouldn't happen. That problem. It was probably like one register that I'd used twice or something and needed to push a pop somewhere. But that would be a nice simple one, I think. Like sort of like Space Invaders. Even more simple than that, probably. I would like to make a platform game as well, but I do worry about how I would implement. Well, a jumping, but I think I can overcome that. But the collisions might be tricky. Um, where he's differentiating between a wall block and a platform. I'd have to come up with some way to do that. So I think that's much more advanced actually than doing just a straight up sort of space shooter. What I'd like to do, I think, and what I might even start tomorrow, is a space shooter with 3 levels that loop, and maybe the enemies even just keep getting faster or something like that. And then that would have a main menu and a game over screen, and then that way I could even release it as a tape file, and I'd be content that I'd made a game. And at that point, then, well, straight after that, I'd probably try to adapt it to use the same exact sort of code and just copy paste it and then change it into another game. But then I'd rewrite the whole engine. Yeah, pre-shifted sprites is going to be a must, isn't it? Yeah, because I've noticed if I have an 8x8 sprite, It doesn't actually look that bad moving the whole. Yeah, I like that plan. I do, and I definitely need to. I've done pre-shifted sprites in an early tutorial privately way before I started the channel. Someone on, I think it was ZX Computing or something it's called, was helping me with that. Yeah, and it wasn't that hard actually. It was just time consuming again. You had to have 8 of every sprite and stuff. I think that's what was mean by pre-shifted. It's when you've actually got 8 versions of the sprite, haven't you? Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. It looks like it's going to be bad when you first glance at it. It's the same thing as animation, really, isn't it? If you actually think about it, you're just animating on a different trigger, like a different cause. The cause is just moving left and right. I mean, I can't remember exactly how it was implemented, to be honest, but some of it I probably didn't understand and just straight up copied, because it was many weeks before I started the channel. Yeah, there's quite a few things to learn still. I should start writing them down now. Because there's pre-shifted sprites, there's the inertia, the jumping, which seems to be included with that. I'd say I could put a pretty big tick next to double buffering now. So that's a good thing. I think the VSync, even that, I need to understand this better and what we can do in here. But at the moment, it's going to be, I'll wait until we get performance issues to look into that. Which might not take long. Do you know what though? I'm happy with it because it changes colours pretty quick. I made another program and it failed to do that. I don't know how I wrote it differently. Or maybe it's just because we're using a buffer. I love it. I'm happy with that. It is time for me to sign off. I know I do. I think I put 4 AM on my schedule. But that's just like an extreme case scenario. I might change that to 3. My schedule, as you probably know, it does say on there, it's only a rough guide. I might end up having 3 days off without any warning whatsoever, just because I feel knackered or something, Or it might be that someone comes to the house or whatever. It could be anything, But at the moment, I'm enjoying doing it absolutely every night, and every time I get a spare minute, really, quite enjoy it. Obviously, that won't last for absolutely ever, unless the channel booms out of all, and then I'll probably enjoy it even more. You know, nothing lasts forever. But I'll be doing at least a few videos a week at the very least for years, hopefully. Anyway, I think I'll end it here. I might upload this to YouTube, but I think it's kind of like not much to be learned from it. Just another little show off video. I'm sure there's a Spectrum community out there. I post on Reddit sometimes, so I know some of them are watching this, and they're probably laughing their head off at how simple all this stuff is, but they probably find it quite cute. I find it funny. It's pretty advanced to me now. We've delved well deep into it now. So we're getting to the fun stuff. As soon as I get to collisions, really, and I need to get to grips with why my jump wasn't working. It's the use of them pointers again. Just got to be careful with them. Yeah, there's loads more to come, man. Thank you as well. Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. I hope it comes through. Like, you know, sometimes obviously I'm tired, but totally enjoying running the channel so far. And it is growing, so it's really fun. I can't wait. Can't wait for tomorrow. Get some more videos out. Hope you enjoy the rest of the night, whatever's left of it. I'm off to watch some Star Trek. Get Spock. It's going to be fascinating. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have fun. Goodbye.